Well, Good Friday. Happy Good Friday to you. We're going to be finishing up our Facebook Live devotion series here on the last words of Christ. And, as we've looked at this, we've seen a picture painted here of Jesus on the cross, battered in rough shape. The other day, Nick even talked about Jesus saying, "I thirst," and how, I'm sure his mouth was so dry. And having received that drink, he was then able to say the last two things that he has to say from the cross. But he's exhausted, he's dehydrated. There is nothing left to give at this point. And so Jesus actually says in John 19:30, "It is finished." It says, and he bowed his head and he gave up his spirit. The Gospel of Luke records it similarly and adds a little bit to that phrasing and says that Jesus cried out with a loud voice and said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. And we see Jesus having taken upon himself the weight of the sin of the world, both past, present, and future. Jesus is bearing the wrath of God. Some estimate that the spiritual agony of these events over these 3 hours on the cross were so severe that the physical pain of the lacerations and the crown of thorns and even the nails in Jesus' hands and feet may have been a welcome distraction from the spiritual side of what was happening. I think this is a very intense agony. Why so intense? Well, Romans 3:23 says that the wages of sin is death. So the debt of sin is death. And I don't know about you, but having debt hanging over your head, for me, that's a very uncomfortable feeling. Even more uncomfortable is to have a debt so large that you could never, ever repay it. You could give everything you possess, and it would still be totally inadequate. That kind of debt is a debt faced by like a criminal with a death sentence. There is no level of restitution that someone there in that situation can make that's going to make things right, because what's been done cannot be undone. Now, I know as people, we tend to rank sin somewhat, right? And so we look at the theft of a candy bar to be a small sin, because with $1, you can make restitution. But what we fail to consider, I think, often with sin is that all sin damages people. It damages those around us. So, like even with a candy bar, you go, it's just a candy bar. But what effect does that have on that store clerk? That then begins to anticipate more theft and begins to distrust other people. $1 doesn't fix that. And it's true that if you destroy property, even expensive property, it can still be replaced. But the wounds that we inflict on each other's souls with our sin can't simply just be repaired. So every sin, large and small, does damage to those around us. God doesn't call it sin for nothing. It's destructive. And the appropriate payment is something that we can never afford. We can't make it right, so we deserve death. That's our debt. And here's what I find so amazing is that when Jesus said it's finished, he wasn't just saying, "I'm done," or "I'm exhausted," even though those things were true. He wasn't even just saying, "I'm dying." The word that Jesus used is tetelestai. Tetelestai. And that exact word has actually been discovered, written on ancient manuscripts, tax bills. Tax bills. So the modern meaning of that word or that phrase is not just it is finished. What probably a better description there is paid in full. So when Jesus said it's finished, he wasn't just crying out. He was actually speaking to all of us. The debt of your sin is paid in full. And that's what makes a very dark Friday and very tragic events a very good Friday. Paid in full. Congratulations, you're free from the debt of your sin. I hope you live that way. I hope that as you reflect on what God has done for you, that paying the debt of your sin with the spotless, perfect Lamb of God, I hope that's significant to you. And the good news is, of course, it's not over yet. The good news is we still, even though Jesus died to pay our debt, we celebrate an even greater victory that he rose again. And that is amazing. So I hope you'll join us on Easter Sunday as we celebrate together the amazingness of Jesus conquering death in victory and what that means for us. So happy Easter, happy Good Friday, and may God bless you.